knows it, which is the right
Yeah.
thing. So Rachel,
thank you, Dr. Scalza.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Come on, welcome. Okay, we need a few more chairs. We're just beginning. Thank you for everyone here coming out in the cold weather. It's really bad today. I think a lot of people didn't come because of that, so I appreciate everyone being here. And this is going to be fun and interactive, and I'm going to have you guys participate a little bit, so I hope no one objects to that. Before I begin, I'm just going to pass out a few cards. I have 10 of them. So, as you may know, this is my second book, How to Get Over Your Ex, a step-by-step guide to mend a broken heart, Italian-American style. So we're going to be talking about Italian-American culture, we're going to be talking about exes, breakups, all that good stuff, how to move on, how to find a new love. But first, what I want to do is address frequently asked questions. The things that I get all the time, constantly, and you guys are going to ask them to me. So, start with you, David. Susan, would you like to participate too? Sure. Okay. And I'm just going to randomly do this and give cards out. If you object, you can pass it on to the person next to you and they can read it. Okay. And in some kind of order here. Okay. Don't make your faces at me. Pass another one down.
I'll take one.
Alright. Let's see. Okay, I think someone got 2. Okay, is there number 9? Does anyone have? Yes.
Just second.
Okay, so we have at least 9. The 10th one is missing, but I could probably bring that one. All right, thank you, Margarita. Okay, so start with number 1. Ask away with the questions, and then I'll talk a little bit about the book.
Question number 1. Why write a book about getting over an ex, Italian-American style?
Okay, so when everyone asks me that question, I say, why not? Because I believe in using what you know to write your book. Or anything. Start with what you know. So obviously I know Italian-American culture. I'm 75% Italian, 25 Hungarian, for anyone who's interested. And when I was in my graduate program, as we were talking about before, marriage and family therapy, we learned a lot about using your family background, your culture, your religion, your socioeconomic status, your cohort, all of that to influence how you handle different problems. So heartbreak is a common problem. And I've encountered it personally, I've encountered it with clients of mine. So working as a matchmaker in New York for the last 10 years, one of the biggest challenges has been people who are not over their exes. And I was just thinking about how can I help them? What can I do to move them forward? Because the answer is not just throwing them on a bunch of dates. I know that. I don't know if anyone else has tried the whole serial dating approach to get over an ex, but it doesn't really work. So I figured I need a new approach, and why not go with what I know? And I know there's things about Italian-American culture that can help people move forward and mend their broken heart. So that's why I chose to write the Italian way. Number 2.
Is this book for both men and women?
Yes. This book is both for men and women, and this is something I actually struggled with because I thought maybe I should write to women since more women than men read self-help books. It's a fact. But then I thought about guys who were struggling after a breakup. What would they do? Would they go to Barnes & Noble or another bookstore and actually sit in the self-help aisle and buy a book? Probably not. That's why I made it an ebook. That's why it's available on Amazon, and it can be an ebook or they can order it. And I figured I can't just leave the men out because they need help too. I know they need help. They've been coming to me and talking to me all about this. So I wrote to both men and women. The book can apply to either. Question 3.
Okay. The book provides 7 steps to mend a broken heart. Do they need to be followed in order?
Okay, so in my little table of contents, you'll see that there's all these fun steps, and they have catchy little titles and subheadings to them. Bada bing, bada boom, forget about it, all this stuff. But there's a lot of substance beneath the surface, and I think that when you go through a breakup, kind of like when you're grieving a death, there are stages that you go through, and you kind of have to go through them before you get to the next one. So the answer is yes, you should follow these steps in order. Now, we're not all perfect, so we might go toward one step and then back to another step. But for instance, the last 7th step is how to find love, how to find amore or something like it. So you really can't find a new love when you're still stuck on your ex. And I know this, I think a lot of us here can say the same thing, that when you try too hard, it doesn't work. You have to really do the work yourself before you try to find someone else. And you have to heal your heart and do all of these things to help yourself move forward before you can really find that new relationship. Otherwise, it might just be a rebound.
Did that answer your question?
Yes. Do you have question 4?
I do, actually, Robin.
Okay.
Are all 7 steps really based on Italian-American culture?
Yes. All 7 steps are based on Italian-American culture. So when I was sitting down to write this book, I thought about, okay, what does everyone think about when they think of Italian-American culture? Largely, it's food. Today, I was actually taking a cab here from Bay Ridge, and I got the craziest Greek cab driver, and I decided in the middle of his cursing and swearing and everything else that I would tell him what I'm doing and why I'm coming here, because maybe it would calm him down. So I told him, and I said, well, do you have any advice about how to get over an ex Italian style? I know you're not Italian, but I mean, this book can apply to any different ethnicity. And he said, yeah, pasta and Frank Sinatra. And I laughed, and I said, well, that's what I was thinking when I wrote this book, too. So one of my chapters is about Sunday dinner and the importance of having friends and family and food in your life, and I think that can go a long way, kind of emotional eating to heal yourself. We've all been there. Another chapter is about faith, which this could apply obviously to other religions or cultures. It doesn't have to be the Catholic religion, but just the idea of having something that you might fall back on in a hard time could be helpful. So faith, family, food, La Dolce Vita, these are all principles. So every single one of these 7 steps does relate to something Italian. It's not just that I made this up, but I really sat down and thought about it. And there are things that can help you get through. Does that answer your question?
I think that really covered it for me.
Okay. Who else?
Is this book for people who are divorced and widowed?
I often get this question. So one thing that I say is a strict no contact policy with exes, and a lot of people have a concern about that. Now, this book does apply to people who are divorced or widowed as well, but there needs to be some modification. So say if you have a child, you have to talk to your ex, and I think at that point you should have a really good co-parenting relationship, but that you should understand there's no romantic relationship between you. So a few modifications, but when I did write this book, it wasn't from a perspective of someone being divorced. It was more from someone who was single, got over an ex, and helped countless others too in my matchmaking and coaching practice.
Number 6.
Number 6.
I hope I pronounced this correctly. Who is the Stunad X?
There you go. We gave it to the Jewish guy. Okay, so raise your hand if you know what a Stunad is. Okay, a few. Okay, I think that a Stunad X is very easily identifiable, but if you never heard the term, I basically think it means someone who's stupid. And if they broke up with you, they're stupid because you have some value and they're not recognizing it. So they might be a nice person, they might be smart, they might have an MBA, but there's something stupid about them that didn't make the relationship work. So that's what I think people should think when they're going through a breakup. You don't want at that time to highlight all the good things about your ex, but you want to focus on the bad things because that's going to help you move forward. You don't want to just reminisce about the good times, but this is the time to realize their flaws. So in my book, I list 10 signs of a Stunad ex. And there's 10 for females and there's 10 for males. We can go over some of them later if you guys want because they're fun. And we've all experienced them as well. Anyone else? Questions on my index card?
What are the 50 shades of forget about it, and what is the most important thing to forget?
Okay, so it's really a fine time for this to come out because now the 50 Shades of Grey movie is out, as we all know, and some of us have seen the off-Broadway show. I have. But I said forget 50 Shades of Grey and focus on 50 Shades of Forget About It. And these are 50 things that you should not do when you're trying to get over an ex. So You have to read the book to know what they are, although I do have a free chapter online at booklocker.com, and it mentions some of these things. But just to give you a little hint, a lot of them have to do with not stalking your ex, especially on social media, and not remaining in contact with your ex's friends or family, not stalking them as well. The second part of that question was, what is the most important thing to forget about? And that would be to abandon the hope that your relationship is actually going to work out. You have to believe that it's not going to work out. Now, we all know that some people do get back together, and those are far and few between, that they get back together and actually have like a healthy, happy, long-term relationship. But some people need to grow up, some people need to take a break. I understand they might get back together and live happily ever after. But I don't want you guys to think that, or anyone that's reading this book. At that time of the breakup, you have to think, this is not going to work, I need to move on. I have to basically fight for a healthy relationship, because this was not healthy, it was broken. So I'm going to just act like my ex does not exist. Unfortunately, your ex is dead to you at this point. If they come back, maybe they have reincarnation, great, but at this point they're dead. So that's what you need to forget about, all hope that the relationship can be fixed.
Number 8, you advise readers to make a case for stubbornness. How is this Italian American? How can it help people move up?
Okay, so we all know that Italian Americans are not the only people that are stubborn, but they are pretty stubborn, and I guess I could say this because I am too. So in my family, the joke is that people have a head like a rock, and they don't budge. I mean, even if they're wrong, they're right, and that kind of thing. So you have to be stubborn in the belief that even though your heart is saying, I want to be in this relationship, your head has to be there, like, this person isn't right for me, this person, this is a stunad, and you have to know that this is for the best. And at the end of every chapter, I actually have different exercises that people can do to kind of convince themselves, because they might not believe it. So one thing is journaling. Journaling has helped me a lot. I've had journals since I was 11 years old. And in those journals, one thing that I would do, or that I'd recommend a client would do, would be to make a list of all of those bad things about the relationship. The needs that you had that were not getting met, and what you really want. Like, what's your wish list in an ideal relationship? So if you get in that mindset where you're really stubborn, you will start to believe what you write down, almost like affirmations. You have to read it, and you just have to keep on making it a part of you until you actually do believe it. Like, fake it till you make it. So there is a 10th question, although I didn't give the card out. Oh, you have? Okay, I think we got our order mixed up a little.
How can broken-hearted singles use the idea of La Dolce Vita, or the good life, to find a new love?
Okay, so that was the last question, but we'll come back to your question. So the good life, I wanted to end it on a positive note, because it sounds so morbid here about all this death stuff with the breakups. But the good life is something that you can achieve if you follow your heart and focus on things that are important to you, and pursue hobbies and interests and better yourself, and not just make your life a big sob story. Like, I get it, you know, you broke up, it's terrible, you're crying, you're going through all the emotions, you're grieving. Your friends and family will be supportive of you to a certain point, but after a while, it's like, get over yourself. No one wants to hear it. You have to be strong. You have to have that mentality that is so much of a part of the Italian American culture. And as Dr. Scalzo was saying before, Italian Americans have worked very hard and accomplished a lot since they've come here. So you have to kind of develop that mentality that you can be empowered and you can get through a lot of challenges and hurdles in order to have that good life. And question.
So you write that there are 2 types of people in the world, Italians and those who want to be Italians. What's that?
Okay. That is in my book, and I'm glad you all laughed, because it is a joke, but maybe there's a lot of truth to it. So I think that many of these qualities that I'm talking about, these positive things, the good life, I mean, everyone loves to go to Italy and rave about the food, no matter what ethnicity and race they are, and they generally say that Italians are warm and welcoming people. So I think everyone, or almost everyone, would aspire to some of the qualities that Italian Americans have. they might like that sense of family and togetherness, or that strong faith, or even someone who seems like they're kind of a pain in the ass. There's something admirable about them, and they're tough and they stick to their guns. So things like that, I feel that people would want to be like. They can emulate that. And you don't totally have to believe that you're like that, but you can just epitomize those qualities and they'll come to you. It's my theory. So those are my frequently asked questions, and now I wanted to open the floor up to you guys for any real questions that you may have. And David, thank you.
Okay, just why is it that people can't get over their ex? They break up and they just can't accept that it's over. Like, I remember calling some guy, people saying like, "Oh, we may work out, may not work out. It's over, it's over, it's over. Just get over it." Like, why can't people just like say, "Okay, we broke up"? Why is this long process? Why a whole book on getting over your ex? Why can't you just turn a switch and be like, "Okay, we're done"? I don't understand the drama about it.
This seems very logical, but as I like to say, feelings are not turned on and off like a faucet. So it gets into that head-heart debate kind of thing, where you want to be over them, you logically understand it's over, but you really can't control how you feel. This may happen for women more, but it happens for guys too. They don't all have the logical perspective that you do, because I have clients that are calling me like, "How do I get her back?" People actually wrote me and asked me to write a book about how to get an ex back, and I was like, "No, I don't do that. I don't get them back." I think what I see is a large percentage of people have fear, especially in New York City. It's such a tough dating scene, and it's hard to find someone that would compare in your head to your ex if you think that you had this great relationship, especially if they broke up with you or they were just awful and made you break up with them, but you didn't want it to end. So you might think that I'm not going to find anyone else like them. And then you go through that reel in your head where you're replaying like all these old memories, and you just make it something that it wasn't. You remember it to be better than it was, and you think, I'm not going to find that again. So that's why they're stuck on it. And there's other reasons, but that's the main one I see. Rosella.
I want the 10 signs of a Stunada ex.
Okay, I will read one or two. All right, and I should give you a shout out. So Rosella's recipe is in my book. So she's the host of the Cooking with Nona show. And some of you may have heard of her or seen her show, or her recipes are being shared around online. So you can read about her Nutella brownies. I think Nutella is the cure for everything, and so does she. And let's see if I can find something from the Stunada X chapter. But feel free to shout out your own reasons of Stunada X too. I like inspiration, really. Okay, do you want to hear the female or the male?
Surprise me.
Okay. Well, are there more women in this audience, or maybe I'll do one of each just to